Hello again. Today we're going to talk about the new four-way valve, and I'm going to demonstrate its use. It eventually will replace what's known as the HUMAT valve or the old four-way valve. At the end of this video you should understand the basic use in a forward evolution. So that being said, let's get started. As you can see right here, this is the old valve. The old valve is designed to be placed on the hydrant in the off position. In the lower part of the valve, you can see it's a very small area. This was designed to be used with 3-inch hose. We've adapted these valves to use large diameter hose with the Storch couplings. This area right here is two 90-degree turns, and it creates excessive friction loss in a forward evolution. Since most of our initial firefights are forward evolutions, we are always looking for a way to reduce that initial friction loss to give you as much of the pressure from the hydrant at the fire scene through the large diameter hose. We brought in this new four-way valve, which is designed with a large ball, and it's designed to be used with large diameter hose, unlike the old valve. Right? You can see it's attached to the hydrant, so we'll begin a simulated forward evolution. The hydrant person, when they get off the truck, should get all the tools that they need out of the hydrant bag and get ready to hook up to the hydrant. If it's a live fire situation, we don't flush the hydrant. Take the steamer cap off and attach the four-way valve. The 5-inch hose, once it's stretched to the fire, is attached to this side of the four-way valve. The valve should be carried in the off position, which is all the way to the right as you're facing the valve from behind the hydrant. Once the four-way valve is in place and the fire line is in place, you want to open the hydrant. Once the hydrant is all the way open, you can see that no water is flowing into the fire line or out of either of these other openings on the four-way valve, because the lever is in the off position. Once the hydrant is fully open, which takes multiple turns, we are ready to stand by for our radio communication from the driver engineer to supply the water. Once we confirm that they're ready for water, then the lever is moved simply from the right-hand side to the fire line. And I'm going to demonstrate. We have a simulated nozzle at the other end of this short section 5-inch to simulate the fire flow. Okay. As you can see now, the pressure from the hydrant is fully available through the large diameter four-way valve to the fire line. If the pressure needs of the other pumper exceed what is now available, it's necessary to bring in the second pumping device, or the second pumping apparatus. The next part, we will simulate the hookup of that second in pumper. Okay, the second part of this training film is to show you the transition between the hydrant pressure being supplied and the second pumper coming in to boost the fire line pressure. Over here on the new four-way valve, you notice that it has a suction side and a discharge side. The suction side needs to be hooked up to the piston intake relief valve on the second in pumper. So I'm going to do that now. Make sure the Storch connection locks into place. The second part of this evolution is to hook up a large diameter hose from the large diameter discharge on the right side of the truck to the discharge side of the four-way valve. Make sure it locks into place. Now we're ready to use part of the hydrant pressure through the four-way valve to supply this pumper. In order to do that, you have to stand behind the hydrant and move the four-way valve lever all the way to the left or to the discharge side. That will allow pressure to flow from the hydrant partially and charge the second in pumper. Next, the driver engineer will bleed the air off and open the piston intake relief valve, thereby allowing water pressure from the hydrant into the pump. You notice on the compound gauge, you now have 50 pounds of pressure coming in from the hydrant. That pressure is also being shunted through the four-way valve, continuing to supply the fire. At this point, the large diameter discharge line on the other side of the trunk is going to be charged. And what will happen when the pumper pressure exceeds the 50 pounds of hydrant pressure, it will push an internal valve across and water flow will go from the pumper at a higher pressure to the fire line. The 50 pounds available from the hydrant will go exclusively to the pumper. This allows the pumper to boost the pressure to the fire line above hydrant pressure. Our pump discharge is set at 100 psi. I'm going to use the large diameter discharge on the right-hand side of the truck. I'm going to supply that line. Okay, once we've charged the large diameter line, if you notice the discharge gauge is showing about 80 to 90 psi. On the compound gauge, we have 40 psi coming in from the hydrant through the piston intake relief valve. The pump, even at idle, adds 30 pounds to it, and now we have about 80 pounds available at the large diameter discharge. I'm going to bump it up to about 100. Now we have 40 pounds of hydrant pressure plus 60 pounds generated by the pump through the large diameter discharge that flows into the discharge side of the four-way valve. Now the pressure from the hydrant is going exclusively through the four-way valve and into the second in pumper. That allows the second in pumper to raise the gallons per minute and the pressure in the fire line, thereby allowing that for to continue the firefight.